we ask your presence here at this meeting this morning, Lord God. Father, look at our President General in a particular manner this morning, Lord God. Fill his mouth with the things that you need him to say this morning, dear God. Father and friend, send your angels to hover around him this morning, dear God. The man in the hottest part of the battle this morning, dear God. But Father and friend, strengthen him for his purpose this morning, dear God. Take charge over him this morning, dear God, if thou be so pleased. Look at the media this morning in a special way this morning, dear God. Help them to listen and to carry back the proper message this morning, dear God. Father and friend, this hour, dear God, let the message be clear that the readers will interpret exactly what is being said this morning, dear God. Father and friend, every officer, every member here this morning, Lord God, strengthen us, Lord God. Take charge over us this morning, dear God. Look at Trinidad and Tobago in a particular manner this morning, dear God. Those sick and suffering this morning, Lord God. Those without jobs, those without food this morning, God. We bring them before you, Lord God, in thankful hands this morning, dear God. Father, take charge over us this morning, dear God. These and all other mercies we ask in your most holy name we pray. Amen.
Thank you very much, Ron. Thanks. I want to thank all of you members of the media for responding again this morning and coming to cover what we consider to be a very important installment in a number of installments that we are going to produce, which has as its root intention to inform the people and to bring awareness to an otherwise type of attack on the people without the people really understanding the severity of the attack. Let me first of all start by saying that the government of Trinidad and Tobago, this present government, headed by its Prime Minister, and of course all of the ministers, dismiss out of hand and reject all of the concerns that are raised in the Parliament, upper or lower house. Once is opposition raising those concerns, dismiss out of hand. We are not here now to raise any concern on behalf of the opposition. First point. We are here to put back on the table valid concerns that has been dismissed in the Parliament, put those issues back on the table, because those issues not only affect the opposition, it affects all of the people of Trinidad and Tobago, and especially those who can least afford. So when you members of the media raise questions, not on your own behalf, but on behalf of the people of the country, and those questions are out of hand dismissed, and people make a joke out of it, and so on, as if you should not be asking those questions, there's where our democracy is in deep peril, and there's where we have concerns more than the ordinary concerns, and there's where organizations like the Office Workers Trade Union, the trade union movement, the ordinary man in the street, there's where the people ought to be concerned enough to stand up. And so I want to start this discourse here this morning by asking the question, as a people, how much more are we prepared to take before we appropriately respond to this injustice? Make no mistake about it. It is injustice meted out to the people. And the worst thing could happen about that is that you are being taken advantage of. You are being abused as a people and you don't even know. Or perhaps you don't care. And both approaches leave you worse off than if you had stand up for your right. And therefore, we return this morning to the very critical issue of the increase in fuel costs. Gasoline, kerosene, diesel, super gasoline, premium gasoline, and so on. And while they try to hoodwink you, the minister that minister of everything, that Stuart Little, while he tried to hoodwink the population by saying CNG would not be increased, and LPG would not be increased. And mark my word, that's just a matter of time for that to happen. The real bullet that is coming to hit you is the cost, as we mentioned last week, is the cost of fuel. Diesel, kerosene, premium, and so on. And of course, super gasoline. All of which would immediately be converted into an increased cost of living, bringing additional burden on the people of Trinidad and Tobago, and you the people. And sometimes they get away because when they talk about the increase in cost per liter, you tell yourself it's just a matter of cents or $1 increase per liter. It's not 1 liter you take to fill up your tank. If you take 38, an average of 38 to 40 or 45 liters, the information that we are going to bring to you this morning, make your own calculations. And let us pay close attention to what is happening right now. We have information, Trinidad and Tobago. We have confirmed information that in this new budget that is going to come, that is going to be presented by the Minister of Finance, they are going for the jugular. They are going to increase the cost of fuel to you, the people of Trinidad. And let me make a point. It doesn't matter if you don't have a vehicle, and some people might feel, well, I don't have a car, so it doesn't matter to me. No, no, no. You yourself will be immediately caught up in the increased costs for transportation. And as a result of transportation of goods and services to the country, you yourself will also be made to pay more across the board. So the increase in cost of fuel is not only for motoring public or motor owners, vehicle owners, business, it is the business of every citizen to pay close attention to what they are about to do to you. And let us pay attention to the timing of when this is going to take place. And the first thing about this timing I wanted you to focus on is that you are at a point where it's difficult for you, the people, to stand up and to speak out in the effective ways in which you traditionally would have done that. So you cannot come out on the streets to protest. So what happened with that? You cannot say too much, because if you say too much, they send them to the police to use the emergency power and regulations to arrest you. So you are held at ransom while they do what they intended to do all the time, and while they blame COVID for it. Now, let us look at what is happening, the current price of that we pay at the pumps. Because we are told that we are now going to pay the international prices, in other words, what is paid outside of Trinidad and Tobago. What they pay at the pumps, we are now going to be trapped with that burden. And that when the price go down, we will also get that benefit. When I made the point last week, for whatever reason, the media may have missed this point. I want to put back this point on the table. When the price was low, price of oil was low, not too long ago, and for a considerable period of time, under $50, under $40, $30, they did not choose then to give you the benefit of the decrease in the price of oil and the decrease in the price of fuel at the pumps. What they did, Trinidad and Tobago, I want to put that back out. What they did, they kept the difference, the surplus. The Minister of Finance kept the difference, and what you paid at the pumps when the price was low was a fuel tax. Now that the price has appreciated and it is going to be sustained for quite a period of time, they are going to turn on the switch of the burden, that yoke, on you the people. And all of these things could have been mitigated because we, remember, in 2018 and before that, going back to 100 years, we would have produced what? Our own feedstock crude, and we would have had our ability to refine that crude and produce products. So you shut down your fridge, or sell your fridge, or put your fridge outside, stop it from working, and now you're buying ice. And you're telling me, whatever the price is, we the people must pay. It is poor governance, poor policy positions, operating and government by VAPs have us where we are. It matters not who you support. You're going to pay more in the grocery, you will pay more at the pumps, you will pay more the maxi taxis and the taxis, and the public transport services and public transport systems. Doesn't matter who you support. This net will capture all of you. And I am saying this morning that the government, in its heightened arrogance, continue to dismiss these concerns, these real critical burning concerns, and therein lies our major problem and difficulty with that, which is why the OWTU, at the risk of who say what, because let me say again up front, we are not here for friends. I don't want no friend. I don't want them to be my friend. I don't want no PGNM or UNC to be my friend. I'm a family to do that. And of course I have my OWTU family to do that. So you could vex as much as you want. You could say what you want. But the facts are the facts. The facts are, since they came in 2015 to now, after coming in on a campaign of the care, this is the fourth time they're going to impose this burden on the people. And so, with the price of fuel now pegged to the price of oil, and we are now going to adopt that approach, here's what the fuel importers, and I want to compare us this morning with a particular fuel importer. Fuel importers, but let's just single out Barbados. Barbados, whose economy is not oil and gas. But I'm comparing us in Trinidad and Tobago with Barbados because we are like them now. We are liking to Barbados now because prior to 2018, we were different. Because what? We were producers. We were not importers. We were producers in Trinidad and Tobago. So we are like them. And look at what immediately, if the price of oil stays, now it's the price of oil, it's forecast to go up even further and be sustained. But look at what it is right now. Look at what you, the people, would have to pay when he increased that in this coming budget. So, right now, you pay US 85 cents, or TT equivalent, $5.75. That's the gasoline. And I'm averaging and generalizing there. Diesel, 50 cents, US, or 3.41, the TT equivalent. That's per liter we're talking about. Per liter. It's not per tank of gas or tank of diesel. It's per liter. And compare you with Barbados. Gas, $1.90 liter. And the TT equivalent, you see where that is. $12.73. And of course diesel, $1.50 US or $10.05. What we are saying here, Trinidad and Tobago, immediately as the government, through its callousness, uncaringness, increase the price of fuel because we are now importers of this commodity, and there's no way that the people can benefit from their resources of their land in a difficult and a very hard time of this pandemic. We can't because of the their approach to the energy sector and their approach to the economy. We are now asked to carry that burden, that yoke of a burden of increased fuel costs now, because in both, he not taking that. Is to tax and to tax and to tax how much he will tax if you give him a chance. But look at what is happening here. I want us to pay particular attention to this slide. While the people are asked to take more strain in 2012, and I'm looking at the draft estimates of expenditure for the financial year 2012, and then what their salary was, and now from 2015 as implemented in 2016. Look at what these people. So you have the chief himself, Chief Barjon, the chief bulldog, Chief Barjon. He has moved from 48 to 59. So right, you get it? You get it right, yeah? Yeah. This is not OWTU didn't print this. We are not the authors of this document. This comes from the GOTT, public, the GOTT. Yeah, you get it? Right. So all the sycophants, Roger didn't make this, he didn't compose this. Yeah? OWTU didn't compose this. Right. And that is what all of them agreed to. You see, both opposition and government will join hands any day for the benefit of themselves. They will join hands any day when the pressure is on everybody else except them. So, at 24.3% increase, while there are some people since 2007, they haven't had an increase in this country. While poor people lose their jobs, this is what they are enjoying. So it is easy for Minister Young to do what? To say that they are going to now pay the price at the pumps and fool you into believing that they are going to protect you from who? They are going to protect you from the dealers, because there will be a ceiling beyond which the dealers can't go, and every month they are going to regulate the dealers. When in fact, the chunk of the increase is coming from that adjustment they are going to make. So the real increase is going to come from the government itself. And here's what they enjoy. So they can afford to unleash pressure on the population. Oh, yeah. Remember how they demonized the petroleum workers who was producing fuel for the country, which the country would have today benefited from if they didn't send those workers home? They talk about how their salaries. Deceased Minister Khan, God rest his soul, and may he find peace with his maker. That's all I have to say about him. But what I'm saying this morning is that he lied profusely to the people of Trinidad and Tobago in a campaign to denigrate the workers, the same workers who were producing fuel for the nation. So they and their few core of sycophant party supporters supported the government shutting down a refinery that would have benefited them at a time like now, even more than it had benefited the country over past years of its existence. And so, may God rest his soul, and he have to make peace with his maker for the lies he told on the petroleum workers. But the point I want to make this morning is that while they do that, while they say you get too much, while they send workers home, while they reduce the CPEP workers' salary, look at what they are enjoying. And people don't now, at this point in time, focus enough on the people who impose hardship on you, what they enjoy. Motor vehicle exemption from You've heard it before, I'm putting it back out this morning. Motor vehicle tax, value-added tax, they don't have to pay that. Customs, you the ordinary man have to pay that. The man who bring in the taxi or the maxi, you have to pay that. They don't have to pay that. Motor car loans, low interest rate, 6%. And they have over 6 years to period to repay that. Long periods to pay, to repay that loan. Loan to cover the cost of the insurance for the vehicle. Loan for the repairs of the vehicle. And all of this is at 6% per annum. Transportation allowance. Personal chauffeur paid for by the state. And other benefits. The same people who are choking you. These are the benefits that they enjoy. So they could stand up in Parliament, Prime Minister, let's go back to that slide. He could tell you lock down, lock away, shut up, stop that right now. Do you what you want, talk to you how you want, because he receives a handsome salary increase of some 24.3%. While people, the ordinary man, continues to suffer. So in the COVID situation, while they enjoy all of that benefits, up comes this fella. He says, no apology. He's in your face now. No apology. Buy a Benz, I could buy that. Yeah, of course he could buy it. Because he don't pay what normal person, the normal citizen, has to pay. So no apology reminds me of a minister of finance once that says he didn't take an oath of poverty. Never take an oath of poverty. Take an oath to be a minister. Well, he didn't take an oath to apologize. So he could be in your face. And so they are so callous and insensitive that the same person who announced to the world, to the Parliament and to the world and to our citizens that they are going to put more burden on you is the same person who say, well, he's not apologizing. And he's not apologizing because what? He received, let's go to the figure. Young got, and I'm quoting from a daily, I'm not going to say which daily, not advertising for them today. Young got 550,000 in tax exemption. So all of those exemptions and so on. So that's $500,000 in those three categories added up. 550,000 on the purchase of a Mercedes Benz. Yeah? It's the vehicle of choice. While D.L. Singh, the same fella, who joined this other fella, because that's Young was just little. He was the Minister of National everything, yeah, and National Security. So both of them was responsible for locking you down, locking you up. D.L. Singh got 700, and there seems to be some rush to get vehicles fast before something happened. So before the budget, we know what's going to happen in the budget, because we write in the budget. So we get the S. So we went and rush to get vehicles fast. And we have the benefit of what? After what? It's 3 years or so to resell that. Those vehicles, a certain amount of years. Yeah. We sell it and make a big profit on it. Yeah. So we making money. And all your rukun kutunkun. Yeah. We making money on all your. While all you fighting one another and the UNC up here them, we will lati mange in all your. Yeah. And that is the attitude of these people towards our people. So both of them, the state, that's just two of them. The state, the systems we have in place that has a minority government in place, because only 28% of the population voted for them, and 28% of the electorate voted for them. And if you widen that to the population, it's even a smaller percentage of support. they have in the general population in the country. These few people in the minority government, they choking you, ask me no question. Yeah? Yeah. And get it right, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So 1.25 million, just two of them. You know how much people, how much hampers that could buy? You know how much people that could feed? You know how much families could benefit from that? You know what CPEP workers could get a little more? When you take that and you add it to the other perks that they enjoy. And I'm this morning as a trade unionist, not against benefits for people who work, you know. But they were the same people who are against the benefits for the people who want to make sure that people that they get revenue. But how foolish we could get as a people to join the government to denigrate the petrotrain workers, but they are themselves are fattened by the benefit of the same revenue that the petrotrain workers, the oil workers, the energy workers, workers in the country, taxpayers. They are fattened by the input of the taxpayers. Something has to give. We just cannot continue to go on this way. Something has to give. And so while they enjoy all of those benefits, we are now asked to take more pressure. Let me just go to some actuals. What is happening right now? So you are looking at a slide. To hospital administrators, nursing administrators, primary care nurse managers, and so on. And here's what they are talking about. The little allowances that these frontline workers who are to protect the country and even them from COVID. How these people feel to sit down and be vaccinated by people who they're taking away their allowances from. How they feel to be protected medically and serviced medically by these same people who they are taking away these little allowances. And those allowances are not for luxury, you know. It is for the performance of their duty on the front line to make sure, and it's basic, to make sure that they are equipped to service the population and to service even them. So we are living in what? Some sort of a, some royal family or some sort of dictating approach coming from some king who what he says goes and what the people of the royal family says goes. Never mind what they get. Take what you get if you get anything at all. So I'm focusing the media's attention on this particular issue among others. Because right now, real time, this is being denied, these frontline workers. And there are many other benefits to frontline workers, which, if I start a call the list today, it will be too long for me to finish this press conference. But there are many other benefits that the frontline workers in general are being denied. But let's just look at the other slide. You have this financial institution informing their customers that an increase in water rate has already been applied. So, those persons who pay water rate through their mortgage, an adjustment has already been made to their mortgage. What that means is that higher water rates has been paid because the institution has requested that the customers pay more because WASA has already increased its water rate. They're telling you what's going to come. I'm telling you what is already started. So we want to, this morning, ask the question that while all of these, is it right, while people lose their jobs, while the coronavirus continuing to take lives, while every week thousands of workers are going home, being placed on the breadline. And while some people could talk about they go to sleep 2 o'clock and wake up at dawn, they still have sleep. They're still going to sleep. And right when they get up, their breakfast is waiting for them. Their lunch is waiting for them. Their dinner is waiting for them. There are people who don't sleep when the night comes. And there are people who don't know where breakfast, lunch, and dinner is coming from right now in this country. But these people are so sensitive, fattened by what we the people produce, and now want to impose additional burden on you. So it's property tax, unemployment, increased water rates, increased food costs, increased electricity rates to come, increased rent. It seems that it's increased everything, increase too. Yeah? And at the same time, you are greedy, you greedy people. You greedy people, you want too much. While he does not apologize at all, and he drives off in his Mercedes Benz. You know why? Because in a country of the blind, one-eyed man is king. Because we are blinded by all kinds of loyalties, all kinds of issues of race and geography and religion and foolishness and so on. Social media, all kinds of nonsense. We are blinded by that. While the one-eyed man makes a blink with that one eye at you, and at the same time he says, you greedy sons of guns, and so on. You greedy people. But take that in your garb, because it's all you who believe the lie that we came to you with. I'm saying that not everybody believes it, because they are 28% government. I'm saying that whether or not you believe it, you have a right now, in the interest of yourself, if any self-respecting person, whether he or she is a talk show host, whether he or she is a PNM or a UNC, any self-respecting person has to stand up and say, no, enough is enough. And that we must be prepared to take action, the correct action within the law, to ensure that they listen and that they do what is necessary to ease the burden on the people. We are not greedy. We are not greedy. We are law-abiding people. They are the greedy ones. They are the greedy ones. And so when a minister could stand up and say that he's not apologizing in the face of a pandemic, in the face of people losing their jobs, in the face of reduction in salaries, in the face of some people getting no increase, in the face of no food for some families right now, in the face of you don't know what will be for the future of your children in this country. He's not apologizing, and he straps the increased cost of fuel on you and as a people. You have to take stock. And if this does not awaken you, the people, I'm not too sure what else will awaken you. They are going to, if you allow them, they are going to increase the cost of fuel for us here in this country. And we are saying that if there was ever a time that they should back away from that, it's now. We are also saying that if there's ever a time they should forego all of those tax exemption and vehicles, is now. Yeah? If you calling on us to make sacrifice, you too must make sacrifice by example. Yeah? So we call on the government and the opposition to go to the parliament and to remove immediately all of those tax exemptions and so on, all of those allowances, and identify with the people, with the suffering of the masses and so on. And then you could come and tell us that we're greedy. Meanwhile, you are the greedy one. Thank you very much. So, is there any questions? Before I ask any questions, I just want to say that all of what I said here this morning is nothing contrived. I'm reiterating that point. It is a fact. They are facts, and they can be borne out in all of the government-produced documents and so on. Everything can be borne out. What perhaps probably need updating is the size of the government minister. From the time that was depicted, they probably grown exponentially from then to now. So they probably get a little more fat since then. Yeah? We are going to stick with this issue, Trinidad and Tobago. We are going to hold on to this issue because we cannot allow them to increase any more burden on the people. We cannot allow that. And I tell you, as I said before, this pandemic, this COVID-19 situation in Trinidad and Tobago, this curfew, this state of emergency must come to an end. Oh, yes. And when it comes to an end, when that time comes, oh, yes, we must be prepared. We must be really ready and able to do what is absolutely necessary to bring about some sanity in this place called Trinidad and Tobago. Yeah? Back away, Minister of Finance. Back away from putting more burden on the people. Back away from this increasing the cost of fuel. This is the wrong time to put more burden on our people. Stop it. Enough is enough. Yes? And while we are that, we call on them to be more respectful to people who are seeing trouble in this country. When you have your press conferences and so on, it's not the UNC alone you're pitching that to, you know. It is to the people. So while you have your problem with the UNC, and that's another matter by itself, many thousands of people in this country share the view that we are expressing here this morning, but they do not have a voice to express it. And those who are within the confines of where it can be expressed, they are afraid to express it. We have no such fear at all, because it is our mandate, our duty to express how the people feel, especially when that feeling is about the pain and hurt and suffering of our people. And so we call on them to be respectful to the people, to be sympathetic and empathetic to the suffering and the pain of the people, and not be dismissive and so on. So while you're fattening your pockets and your fat bellies and so on, you just disregard our people. We have a problem with that. And a people can only take so much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Clear enough? Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Question?
Yeah, just
one question. Mr. Roger, you started the press conference by asking the population, how much more will you take before, and I'm quoting you, appropriately respond? Can you explain what you mean by the public appropriately responding?
Right now there's very little response. So we need to get the public in on responding to what is happening to them. Instead of dividing yourself into camps and so on, political camps, or supporting the government and actions that are against you, you need to, as a people, set aside all of that and point to the problems and point to those who have the responsibility to fix it, which is the government. And so the response is back in the hands of the people. Yeah, and that there are many different ways. I'm not at liberty this morning to say what those ways are, except to say that all of them will be within the confines of the law. Yeah?
Of course, as a trade unionist yourself, and I know you would have mentioned, of course, the SOE. So not pointing to perhaps a protest or anything like that. If you would care to respond at this point on what took place with Mr. Welch and his intended motorcade last week Friday, and that whole scenario that was in protest per se against some of these same issues. Just your thoughts on the clamping down on a motorcade or a public in their regard, appropriate response to what's taking place?
I think that the government is happy that there is a COVID situation right now, and that they can impose a state of emergency with emergency powers regulations, which they will take advantage of. And that's the point I was making earlier on, that they will continue this as long as they could. But while they do that, they will implement all kinds of conditions that will adversely affect the people, because they believe the people can't respond. And if the people respond within any type of limit, and I'm advocating within the law, once they respond within that type of approach, they use the might of the state to crush dissent, crush any type of resistance, crush any type of reaction or any dissenting voice, in whichever way they could. And mind you, it's not just that way. They use their vindictiveness, that vindictive approach to, just as they shut down Petrotrin to get at the OWTU, they will use all kinds of different clandestine approach to get at people who are speaking out, who are essentially speaking the truth. So anybody who stands up in defense of the country, in defense of the future of the people, we think that that's a noble stance that people would take. Yeah? But we are in a situation where we are under, if you didn't notice it, we are currently under a dictatorship. That's how we feel. Yeah.
With regard to your inside knowledge on the upcoming budget, can you be a little more specific what knowledge you have about the upcoming budget?
Well, I give you specifics in terms of where it's going to go. The formula was enunciated by the minister in the parliament. It's going to peg it to the increased price of oil, and therefore fuel costs will go up exponentially. And we were illustrating this morning. Don't want to point like what I'm going to point, you know? Yeah. We were illustrating this morning currently what it would be, what it would immediately move to. The only thing difference is that I'm not now going to share with you the source of the information that tells us that that is coming in the budget. What we ought to do as a people right now is to make sure that that does not come in the budget.
And I just
no more pressure inwards. Hold it right there.
And just finally, I know you didn't get to give any update last week, but can you this week, any update on the negotiations with Patriotic?
Well, there's a proposal before the government, and they did not respond to it, despite what the Prime Minister said, despite what any one of them say. There is a proposal that treats with their issue of the lien, because remember the lien is always a problem, and that proposal treats with that particular issue that the lien in that proposal would have been taken care of. The government would not have to put out not 1 cent at all, but generally speaking, that proposal would take us out of the morass that we are in right now with this. Yeah? Because it is far advanced only to move and to begin to effect all of those repairs. That is the stage of readiness that we are. At the appropriate time, we will deal with that issue in some more details, but for a number of reasons, including the importance of this issue here this morning, we don't want it to be crowded with that headline. Yeah? And we urge those nice editors, those lovely editors, and so on, those lovely editors who care for the people, we urge them to not bury this issue in the center of the newspapers, but to give justification and justice to an issue that is going to bring extreme hardship on everybody, including the editors. Thank you again.
Mr. you were talking about that after Portugal, because you know have a refinery. And the government has said that they were going back out to get some approved refinery, yet they are taking this measure to increase or reduce the subsidy or that too. So I mean, where do you think that the acquisition of refineries?
Well, that speaks for itself, because that process is a long process that has to start over now, which will take even longer than we have already taken. and which by virtue of time will place more burden on the people. But that process thus far is so nebulous, you're not sure exactly what they are talking about and what conditions and so on. And you might very well find that it is back in the hands of those who will put more burden on you, in spite of the fact that they restart a refinery here. If the government is allowed to give it to their friends, their local friends, their foreign partners, it might very well end up back in the hands of the multinationals, and you are nowhere closer to receiving any sort of relief, the type of which we are talking about under a patriotic acquisition. But it's not a patriotic meeting, it's an act of patriotism this morning. It's not a patriotic meeting. An act of patriotism on behalf of the people of Trinidad and Tobago to raise these issues in spite of an arrogant and vindictive government.
No, you just was saying that if it's not a refinery, if you don't own that, it means that we wouldn't have to be subjected to those.
If who owns it? We can only speak for one group of people. Yeah, we can't speak for the others, which we have already enunciated on many occasions. One group of people, and that is the people who would have stood up for some 84 years for the rest of the country, whether the country know it or not, like it or not. We would have at great risk and great sacrifice. We would have stood up in defense of the people, regardless of what people say. In defense of the people. And there's only one people we can speak on behalf of that will be consistent in that regard and ensure that the people benefit as a result of that. But for now, people under pressure, which is why the OWTU has to speak out on this particular issue. And many more, many more. But keep your eyes on the prize. Keep your eyes on this issue, Trinidad and Tobago. Because right here is where they are going to come in and dig out your eyes and ram their hands down your throats and so on, while they call you the people greedy and so on. Was it title of what? Oh, capital estimates. So there was a recommendation, and the recommendation, both all members of Parliament join hands across the aisle, and they join hands because all of them benefited from that. And with the cannabis bill, yeah, they also join hands because all of them would benefit from such a bill becoming law. So where they will benefit, they smile and caress each other in the Parliament, pat each other on the back and so on, yeah, because all of them will get access to that thing that makes everybody feel good while everybody sees the pressure. Yeah? And that's a fact. Whether you like me or not, or do you like me, the PNM sycophant, that is a fact. Whether you like me or not, UNC Tabanka people, that is a fact. Yeah? Total feelings. Fix all your business. And if the opposition is doing its work, the country will be in so much problems. Yeah. The labor movement has to stand up and take charge where the insanity continues to exist. Thank you again, members of the media, for responding. You nice people. You nice people who come out every day and take the reports. We don't buff from OWTU, eh? OWTU don't buff you like other people.
You turn this on low when you finish, yeah?
Yeah, we support all our democratic institutions, including the media, and the media workers who work hard in this other range. Yeah? So we don't buff you. No. There's no question you could ask that would get us upset or on edge or nervous or annoyed. Yeah? Or make us say that, what it was? Give me a break. Yeah. Well, including, yes, because we understand. We understand. Yeah. I think we worked with him long enough to understand the thought processes that drives the questions. Yes. Thank you kindly.